Some people have argued that the way we live in high concentrations in a mass scale society is itself driving us into pathological behaviours as it does mice and rats. So now I'm going to talk to you about two ideas from around the middle of the 20th century, which can help you to understand why people are so susceptible to the current thing, why they're so willing to entertain these fashionable crazes, and why the way that we live in modern urban environments may be driving us all mad before any of this even happened. There was an ethologist called J.B. Calhoun who talked about urban density and social pathology in 1962. What does that mean? What he meant was he did a series of experiments on mice and rats which showed as you increased the population, worse and worse behavioural traits emerged in them, and all the normal ones dissolved. That mass society itself, he said, could be the reason why people were going mad. How did he know this? He said there was a point at which the concentration of populations in mice and rat populations turned their utopias into a living hell. He called this the behavioural sink. Calhoun noticed in his first experiment with rats that once they got beyond a certain number, they started to act in damaging ways. All their normal behaviours were replaced with things like aggression and self-harm and the refusal to mate and the total breakdown of their normal lives, despite the fact that they lived in what he termed a kind of rat utopia. All their food needs were met, their water, they had places to exercise. It was simply the sheer number of them. Once it reached a certain number, then things began to go very bad. Calhoun then staged an experiment with mice, which became even more famous. You can read about this in O'Brien's book, Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. The Nim is the National Institute of Mental Health, where Calhoun worked for a while, and it's a story based upon his work. When Calhoun did his experiments on mice, he noted that the concentration of their population at a certain point led to a complete social breakdown, with mice refusing to mate and therefore leading themselves towards extinction. This is what he meant by total societal collapse. It was so profound that he said that this was actually a first sort of death. He said the second death was the actual death of the organism, but the first death was the extinction while living of all normal behaviours and their replacement with behaviours that were self-harming, self-destructive, and that actually ruined the possibility of the survival of the group entirely. This, I think, has a profound lesson to teach us, as Calhoun himself believed, for what happens to humans when they're concentrated in what we now call urban bug hives. This is an amusing term, but if you consider the example of Calhoun, he believed, of course, that this did have a meaning for humans. He did say that this maybe bespeaks of a process of pathologizing humanity towards a complete societal collapse. Basically, he's saying that urban concentrations at scale naturally make everyone mentally ill to the point where they won't have children anymore, and they harm themselves and become aggressive and indulge in self-destructive behaviours. In fact, he said, it's completely denormalising. And again, he said that this was a sort of first death before the death of the body, a living death. In a very real sense, Calhoun's work shows how the attempts to create a utopia by providing supposedly ideal conditions planned in a laboratory-like way actually results in a living hell that extinguishes the belief in the meaning of life and the basis of any normal instincts whatsoever. So it's not just the actions of factions, it's not just the liberals mobilising insanity as a weapon of warfare to get you to declare a unilateral war on everything that was and everything that makes sense, and to destroy yourself in it and feel good about it for a time whilst you're waving your flags and getting on your knees and banging your pots and so on.
Hi everyone, this is John Henry Weston for LifeSite News. We hope you found this video insightful. For more content like this, be sure to check out the links in the description below. You can also follow us on social media to stay updated on the latest news concerning life, faith, family, and freedom. Thanks for watching, and may God bless you.